the future is in the hands of our youth. And this evening, I know we have wonderful speakers ahead of us in terms of Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act. We have a responsibility to ensure that we provide good mentorship and leadership for our future generations so that they, at some point in time, can become good and the word is out of my mind, but they can become Rotarians themselves in the near future that we can be proud of in terms of having within our fold. Having said that, I'm going to hand over back to PDG Sonia, and let's get the session underway. Thank you.
Thank you, DGE Debbie. And tonight we're in for a treat because we have the District Rotaract Representative-elect, Mr. Rolenzo here from Suriname, to bring us some greetings this evening, and happy World Rotaract Day to you, sir.
Thank you very much, PDD Sonia. Yes, goedenavond, as we would say in Dutch. Good evening, bonsoitus, as PDD Sonia mentioned. Rolenzo here is the name from the Rotary Club of Fresh in Suriname, the place where I am the shortest, funniest, and smartest member of my family. And just here to wish you all a happy World Rotaract Day. And I remember this day as being the day I called my mom to tell her how much I love her, but also the day that I got chased by a chihuahua for trying to do a good deed and give a neighbor some flowers. Those and a lot of other fun, educational, inspirational, and exciting events and activities that have been executed on this special day by young professionals and the stars of this beautiful world. It all started 56 years ago, and cheers to 56 more years of creating hope in this world and inspiring and also daring our peers to dream, and by that, dream big. Have a great one, and back to you, PDG Sonia.
Thank you so much, Rolenzo. Cheers to you and all Rotaractors around District 7030 and the world, because y'all know that my heart is in Rotaract, right? And Interact. I just love the energy that they bring, and I feel that we as Rotarians, while we have a lot to share with them, they most certainly have a lot to share with us. So let's get into this presentation, because tonight is a jam-packed, crammed session of lots of learning and real inspiration, because I know that these speakers are the people who have the magic to transform Rotary and our youth organizations. So first up is Kevan St. Bryce. Kevan is an electrical and instrumentation engineer in the petrochemical sector. He's a graduate of UWI. He joined the Rotaract Club of PRCO UWI in 2013. And he has served as most favorite part is the District Rotaract representative in 2020 to 2021. He's now a Rotarian, as he was part of the formation of the Rotary Club of Aranguez. That is a Rotary Club made up of mostly Rotaractors, and he was the charter president. He will now serve as the District Rotaract Chair for the Rotary year 2023-2024. He is the District Rotaract Chair for 2023-2024. So, fellow Rotarians, past district governors, ladies and gentlemen, all, please welcome Kevan St. Bryce and all things Rotaract.
Thank you very much, PDG Sonia. Yeah, I'll see the screen, right? It's up? Yeah, okay, great. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Put it in presentation mode.
Sorry. Am I not? Sorry, I forgot. Yes, apologies. Great. So yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, PDG Sonia. So I'm just gonna speak to you guys a little bit about Rotaract, my experience in terms of, Rotaract as it has been formed, and coming back to the District 7030 and my experience. So Rolenzo Like he would have said, it's 56 years now that we would have started, that Rotaract would have started. So it's a long time. I have been part of Rotaract for 10 of those years, and it's been a really transformative journey for me. So I have a lot of passion for Rotaract, which is why I'm happy to give back by becoming DRC for the next couple of years. So 56 years means it started in 1968. The first Rotaract Club would have been in the University of North Carolina. And the Rotarians were sponsoring programs before that, but this was the first official thing that they would have put in the pipeline. So funny enough, Interact is actually before Rotaract, and it's because they had the younger persons and there was like a little gap in between. So they said, okay, we're gonna have something in between. It's like a pipeline essentially from Interact into Rotary, right? So extending that relationship from interactors into something, a new program called Rotaract, that would then hopefully come into Rotary. And that is still the idea that we have to this day, that we want to have early act into Interact, into Rotaract, into Rotary. So we have some members, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw Shari here. I think she's one of those people who was started off in Interact, then into Rotaract, and now she's in Rotary. So she's one of those wonderful stories of, I don't think Early Act existed in her time. So maybe she would have been, but I don't know. So yeah, so that's that idea of having that channel is something that's really important to Rotary. I think membership is a huge part of why we exist. And that's also why it have changed the type of membership that we are recently with the Elevate Rotaract initiative. So Rotaract means Rotary in action. And as you could probably tell from the way that Rotaract clubs go about their business, a lot of it is very service-based. You know, they don't have maybe the deep pockets as Rotary might, but you know, they have the heart and the willpower and the energy. So of recent, I'm forgetting the exact year, maybe Giselle could remind me, but Elevate Rotaract is a recent initiative that would have helped Rotaract to now become a little bit more autonomous. They're able to start clubs without a sponsor. You can also, I mean, file for independence, I guess. It's not something that's that oftenly done, but it's something that happens, you know, and it's also, most importantly, they no longer have an upper limit. So what was happening is that a lot of Rotaract clubs, when you had the limit at 30 years, when persons get to 31, 32, and then maybe not quite ready to get to Rotary for different reasons, maybe, you know, career-wise and other things, what would happen is they would be lost in the little wilderness of, you know, outside of the Rotary family. And sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. So what this Elevate Rotaract idea was, a part of it was to kind of get people to really not feel like they have a cutoff point to get out of Rotaract, and maybe have a little time to establish themselves and make that transition a little smoother. So my Rotary Club, for example, I think is we're lucky to have persons who have been probably in that space ready to be part of Rotary, but a lot of persons who have approached the club so far are past Rotaractors who are in that space, who are interested in Rotary. Maybe they just kind of been in Rotaract just long enough that they feel like, okay, they're ready to make the transition. And luckily, because of Elevate Rotaract, they have means now to kind of find a smoother transition in.
Everyone, there seems to be technical difficulties on Kevan's end. We're just waiting for him to rejoin us. That's technology for you. We can prepare for everything. And in the midst of our pets training, voila, nothing. So we're just going to chat a little bit about Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act. And for those members here, I really would encourage you, please, to put on your cameras, change your background. Let's see the faces as opposed to just the names. And to those people whose names do not match, as in iPad something or Galaxy something or iPhone, please change your name for me. Just so that we know who's in the meeting with us and that we can mark you present. So Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act are actually, Debbie, should we move on to the next presenter and then Kevan can come back? I think we should.
Yes, why not?
He's here, PDG Sonny. Yeah.
Right, Kevan. Good. Are you back with us from Technology Trinidad? You need to unmute. Okay, so
Sorry
we're
about
just
that. I think I signed in without my my account on, so I think it logged me off after 40 minutes. Sorry.
there. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm back. Apologies.
All right, let's get back to this presentation. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, apologies. Yeah, so my screen's back up, right?
Yeah, it's back up, but it's
Yeah, okay.
further ahead than where you were.
Yeah, I'll just move on to this slide. Yeah.
Mhm.
So a big part of it is they're trying to get the number of Rotaractors reported to RI to increase by 100%. Well, that was the initial aim, right? That has not happened, but it has been increasing gradually. So District 7030, I think, yeah, I'm actually need to follow up on the stats for the reported Rotaractors who joined Rotary. That's something that I didn't get a chance to follow up on. And the last point was to increase the number of reported Rotaractors to 1 million by 2029. So in District 7030, the last stat I had before this year was that we were at 48 clubs and 997 members. Unfortunately, this was kind of the tail end of COVID, and I think maybe with persons kind of going back outside and, you know, things might have changed from then to now. We have reduced a couple of clubs, and we have reduced in membership, but I would say that since the start of 2023, 2024, I believe the statistics from last year to now it has been steadily increasing, not by much, but a little bit. So I think kind of catching ourselves back into a new space because COVID is, I mean, that time frame is kind of different from everything else, right? So I think hopefully with the leadership of the next few DRRs, Rolenzo is a very magnetic guy, you know, Crystal also has a lot of energy. So hopefully they can probably push that membership drive to get us back into a place that we can really see the increase in membership and contribute to the worldwide increase that we're trying to aim for. So one of the things this start was just kind of talking about the leadership in District 7030. So we have had a gradual the power maybe of the DRRs has been shifted all throughout the Caribbean. The stat is not quite complete because there is Mario from Barbados and Guyana would increase one more for Christina. But what I would say in terms of diversity, you know, we have as many male to female DRRs throughout the years, you know, so that's a really good statistic to show about how the district has been run. And even coming up, it's Rolenzo and then followed by Christina, and then the next one after would be Kimberly from Guyana again. So that's something that's been very prominent. Some of the best DRRs, probably the very best, which is Giselle right here inside this chat, you know, have come from all over, you know, so it's really important to highlight how well we've spread and had these great people from these different clubs from all throughout the islands. This is also a not updated statistic, but I kind of confirmed with Christina that these are the kind of things, these kind of on course with what is going on right now. So a lot of, on average, clubs have been putting in at least 67 hours per quarter in community service projects, which is amazing. That's a lot of time, you know. So that's something that, you know, maybe with the help of Rotary, sometimes partnerships with Rotary clubs, you know, they're able to kind of push the hours more because they're not just focusing on the ideas that you all have, but we can also use Rotaract to kind of get the ideas that we have out there also, right? Some of the projects that have been done over the years, kind of just to run through in Aruba, there's this investing in youth what's it called, pageant kind of activity. Some of the really interesting things that they do over the that Rotaract has done over the years is collaborating also between not just clubs in the same country, but different countries in the district as well as outside of it. I'm not too familiar with how much we do it in Rotary, but I think that's something that Rotaract does very well in terms of reaching out to clubs around the world. So just like this yoga initiative, this blindness awareness campaign where they had a blind dinner to kind of feel what it's like to be blind and having to interact. So throughout the night, self-defense courses, an environment, a tree planting initiative, as well as, so there's the Rotary Club of Piarco Yui who shares, Trinidad shares independence with Malaysia, and they were able to reach out to a club in Malaysia and have a joint Independence Day celebration where they were able to talk about cultural differences and share some ideas and speak about, you know, the different things that we the things that we have in the similarities we have, any differences that we have, and it's something that's very interesting, something that you would never think about, at least I would not have thought about. So I think Rotaractors have a lot of creativity in the way that they push out the ideas and the projects and the things that they do. So and of course, blood drives are something that, you know, they tend to do a lot of because of the fact that, you know, they have a lot of youth and energy on their side, and I guess blood will come with that also, right? And that's something that my Rotary Club has also adopted as we go along. So all in all, the idea that I came to share really is that, of course, with Rotaract being elevated, there's a lot still to do in terms of membership, in terms of the number of clubs that we have. I know the Rotary clubs that we have right now about 75. I think that is something that Rotaract should be aiming towards, having at least a club to match every Rotary club. I think that's something that's doable, that's possible. As well as the membership. I think the membership of Rotary, if I'm not mistaken, is maybe 24, 30 something, I think, right? With Rotaract only being about 800, that's 843 or 34. It's about 30 the size, you know? So I think, for me, when I think about the Rotaract experience, when I think about the Rotaractors who have been, you know, changed because of the program, I can only think that is something that's very useful and helpful. And I am a great, as often as someone asks me about it, I tell them as much as I could, because I think it's been very helpful to me in terms of leadership and many things. So I think if we are all able to, or if Rotaractors are all able to buy into that idea, I think we'll be able to bring a lot more people in. But the thing about it, I think as most important is, because unless you have a Rotaractor who chooses to branch out on their own and start a new club, I think it's less likely that you will have Rotaract clubs form on their own. So it's more likely that you would have to have a Rotary club that now has to make that decision to form the club, because they have the know-how, they have the resources. You start the club, and maybe if the idea is to start the club and then let them, you know, take off the training wheels eventually and let them do their thing, that's fine. But I think the real way that it's going to happen is through that, I think, more than anything else. Because when I even think about Rotaract clubs now, in the 10 years that I've been here, I don't think I've heard of a club that was formed just like that. I think there's been clubs that have been reignited from a Rotary club. There are clubs that formed because a Rotary club was just formed not too long before it or something like that. So I don't think that's something that Rotaractors would necessarily break away and do on their own. So I think it was kind of on us as Rotarians to take the initiative to maybe start these foundations, to maybe, yes, funnel new persons into our own clubs, but also just to get more Rotaractors and young people out there doing good things that Rotaractors do. So that is all I have to present. And of course, I think we said we'll take questions at the end. So thank you so much for your time and and your attention.
Thank you so much, Kevan. And that's where it all starts. And it starts also with our support, the support of the Rotary clubs for the Rotaract clubs. They're not just there to be your workers at your fundraisers. They're also there to be partners. They want to know about what we do in Rotary, and we want to get their energy and their input into our projects and our clubs. So thank you very much, Kevan, for that. And truly, Rotaract, we have a lot to learn as Rotarians from Rotaractors, as do they to learn from us. So our next presenter this evening is PP Abraham, and he is passionate about youth and has really stepped into the role here on Interact, taking over from another stalwart in the youth arena. So Abraham is a senior member of the American Society for Quality and a certified quality engineer. He's lectured part-time at the Engineering Institute at UE in Trinidad and several other private institutions. He currently is the managing director of his company, Shore Equal Services. He travels extensively throughout North and Central America and the wider Caribbean, facilitating small to large companies to improve efficiency, reduce waste, and enhance productivity. On the Rotary side, Abraham joined the Rotary Club of Chaguanas in 2006. He's been president twice and AG for 3 years. He's a Paul Harris Fellow +1, and he is currently the club trainer and youth services director in his club. So let's welcome PP past AG Abraham on, and we are igniting Interact.
Thank you, PDG Sonia, and good evening to all President-elects, Secretary-elects, DGE, Debbie, and all other incoming club and district officers. Welcome to our 6th online training information session, and I'm really, really excited that one entire session has been devoted to youth service. And let me take the opportunity also to congratulate and celebrate Rotaractors here in Trinidad within District 70 and all over the world. As you would have heard from Kevan, very nice walkthrough as to where Rotaract came from to where it has gotten now, and the initiative of Elevate Rotaract have certainly added a new dimension to the continuity. And this is something that we would also like to see happen as we move from Interact onto Rotaract. So my presentation this afternoon, based on the allocated time, is going to focus on Interact within our district. I hope to give you a really sneak preview, which will spark new and continued interest in the developing youth service within our district. The presentation is going to be centered around three distinct eras. First, we'll take a quick look back at where Interact has come from within the district over the last, I would say maybe about 3 to 4 years, which is not too far back. Then we would take a look at where we are now, what's happening within the district. And then finally, we're going to take a look ahead. We're going to cast our sights down the road to see what is possible and what the district's expectations are. So let's take a quick walk back as to Interact within District 7030 and what has happened. COVID-19 in 2020 and for the ensuing couple of years played a very pivotal part in, I would say, transforming the visibility of Interact within the district. And hence the first bullet point talks about from obscurity to visibility. Interact
Sorry,
existed.
Abraham, you need to
Sorry.
move your screen forward.
Up.
We're
But
still on there. We're still on
sorry.
there. Bye.
All right. Good. Right. Thanks for that, PDG Sonia. My bad. So hence the first bullet point talks about from obscurity to visibility. And COVID-19, as I would have mentioned, played a very pivotal part in moving us through from, from Interact being there. We all were aware that Interact clubs existed, but how many clubs? What were they doing? How active were they? Is the district growing where Interact is concerned? That information was not very apparent, nor was it, readily accessible and available. Even things like clubs that were listed on RI's website as being an Interact club, actually some of those clubs were actually dysfunctional, but there was no way in which that information, was communicated in a timely manner so that actions can be taken to address those issues. Even social media, Facebook, Instagram, although, I mean, the young and the not so old folks would have gravitated to those platforms, from its inception, their use to promote and to highlight interactive activities was not quite there. So when we look back at, I would say maybe 2020 and before, whilst Interact existed, COVID-19 has been very, very, it created an opportunity to get Interact out into the eyes of the district, and the space that it deserves is now being cleared so that Interact can take off in the district. COVID-19 would, just as it would have done for Rotary, it would have provided opportunities for interactors to connect, for the district to connect with interactors. We would have had meetings, we would have had virtual training. For interactors, we had Interact conferences, we had Interact recognition, ceremonies. So all of those events was made possible through the use of virtual technology, thereby bringing, the activities of Interact, into the district in a much, much more visible way. Since then, the District Interact Committee, which existed before COVID-19, since then, though, with the use of technology, internet technology, the District Interact Committee has played a more prominent role in creating more Interact visibility within the district. So I want to really thank my, the predecessors and those persons, and even now, our current chair, Soraya, for really leveraging technology and bringing Interact, out in the open than it was before. Since then, the database has been cleaned up, and we now have a really true picture of what exists where Interact clubs are concerned within the district. In fact, due to that exercise and the continued efforts of the Interact Committee, we have been able to bring on 10 new clubs over the past, 2.5 years. And we hope to, it's something that we want to keep focus on as we expand Rotary, Interact, within the district. So that's a little bit about the past, where we came from to where we are at the moment. Presently, there are 77 Interact clubs in the district, as shown on the slide. Whilst this sounds like a good number, and I've been looking around some of the other districts, and when I look at the number of the per capita clubs in various districts, whilst District 70 is, above the average, it may sound good, but when we think about the second bullet point there are only 41 Rotary clubs in our district that have sponsored those clubs. So what that is saying to us is that there is an opportunity for more Rotary clubs to get engaged with sponsoring Interact clubs within the district. There are about 34 Rotary clubs that without an Interact club, and in the coming years, starting 2023, 2024, and the work is going on all now, there's going to be continued efforts towards ensuring that clubs are sensitized, Rotary clubs are sensitized to the extent, and even some Rotaract clubs also, towards getting involved in sponsoring Interact clubs. As of 2022, just to give a little bit of a global perspective, and as per RI's website data, there were about approximately 15,000, little under 15,000 Interact clubs spanning about 145 countries. Now, this is a tremendous, I would say, achievement by Rotary when the youth programs were launched, and even starting from when we think about the first Interact club being launched in 1962 to where it is now, and even if we go further back with Rotary's involvement with the youths, I was reading, some time back that Rotary, encouraged Rotary International, encouraged Rotary clubs to engage youths, right, as far back as the 1920s, 1930s. And, the original concept of Interact and, getting, clubs to work in unison. It used to be called, Rotary used to support what they call, Rotary clubs used to support what they call a Boys Week. Very, very, many, many years ago. And that has now transitioned into what we know now as World Interact Week, which is usually celebrated the first week of November. So tremendous opportunity for Rotary clubs to get more involved with the youths within the district and to sponsor more Interact clubs. In addition to that, when we look at where we are at present, it's very noteworthy that through the evolution of the district Interact citation, Interact clubs are a lot more engaged than they used to be previously. What we have seen, even with an analysis of the 2023 citation submissions, the district Interact citation submissions, we saw projects submitted, right, as part of the evidencing of their qualification for the citation. We saw projects spanning all 7, areas of focus of Rotary, and that says quite a lot with, regarding the enthusiasm that interactors have once, given the right direction. Personally, for me, our club, the Rotary Club of Chaguanas, we have 3 Interact clubs, and I am very, very fortunate to work closely with them and feel the energy, as PDG Sonia says, feel the energy working with them. They're so excited, so dynamic, full of ideas. All they need is some direction, from their sponsor clubs in terms of really, really optimizing, their potential as interactors and youth service and how it can contribute to Rotary overall. So what we saw in 2023, just about half of the clubs applied for and were, awarded the Interact citation. We believe there's a lot of potential to get more clubs engaged in submitting not only the district Interact citation, but even Zone 34 citation, and then you also have RI Interact citation. So all of these all of these recognition mechanisms is what we are looking to, ensure that clubs engage with their interact clubs so that, they can stay on track to receive their due recognition. So that's a quick look at where we are now. Let's take a look at, down the road. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Well, firstly, consistent with an RI directive, which encourages the introduction of a district interact representative, very similar to the concept of Rotaract, where we have a DRR. The RI is suggesting that a DIR be established within the district. So the good news is that District 7030 is currently in the process of establishing that position recognized by RI, and going beyond that, the establishment of a district interact council. Right? More information is going to be forthcoming on the district interact council, their role, and what we project would be their involvement in really pushing interact within the district. So more information is going to be forthcoming, and I think there is a presentation, a much elaborative presentation at the district conference. So you don't want to miss that. Secondly, as I would have mentioned before, they're just about, a little above half of the Rotary clubs have sponsored interact clubs. So we really, just as Kivan would have mentioned in his presentation, we want to see, we really want to encourage Rotary clubs that do not have a sponsored interact club to engage with them, right? See, find a reason, why you would want to have at least one interact club, right? And I think the next slide kind of gives you a little bit of a drive to, to want to do that. As we look ahead, because we have analyzed and we are convinced that the district interact citation and, the various iterations of the citation over the years has positively impacted interactors and the activities. I mean, to see the excitement, when they submit and they get the awards, and even when they attend our ceremony, I mean, it's really, really a sight to behold. So looking ahead, we want to see, all interact clubs in the district apply or make submissions for all or any of the citations and awards that are available. And again, that's where you as, club leaders elect will play a part in ensuring, that interact remains on the radar of your club throughout the entire Rotary year. Right, looking further ahead, the message to clubs that currently have sponsored interact clubs: continue to look for opportunities to engage with your interactors. Engage them in your club activities. I'm sure you have, whether it is fundraising or whether it is community service projects, right? They can learn from you in what you're doing, and you can also provide guidance to them once they're next to you when you're doing your stuff. Similarly, engage with your interactors' projects. When they have projects, show the interest that you want to be with them, right, as much as you can. Not only to look over their shoulders, but to let them see that, you're working side by side with them. So it goes both ways. That, I think, collaboration is what is going to strengthen the bond between interactors and Rotarians. And I have had personally interactors who have left their school, who have gone on and they have moved on, who still, stay in touch with me. And to me, that tells me, the experiences they would have had whilst they were at their respective interactor clubs was something that went beyond just, their tenure in their respective schools. To non-sponsoring clubs, make a commitment to consider sponsoring at least one club, one interact club during the year. It's not as difficult as it sounds. I can't remember the name of the club right now, but we have had during this year an Interact Club that went from start to finish in just a few months. The RI has just published a new version of the Interact Club, of an Interact handbook, which is a guide for sponsor clubs and advisors. In there are two sections, one that deals with how to sponsor, how to start an Interact Club, and there's another section on how to sustain an existing one. And it's written in very simple, language that is easy to follow. So it's not as difficult. Whatever fear you would have had, or whatever reservations you would have had that, setting up an Interact Club or sponsoring an Interact Club is a long and drawn out process. It isn't. The district is here to support you, to work with you, to get that process, completed in a very expedited manner. Right. So if you have any reservations as to why you should sponsor an Interact Club, think about this. It's a really terrific way to introduce young people to service and to Rotary. As sponsors, Rotary clubs empower interactors to begin a lifelong habit of service, which is good for the world. By sponsoring an Interact Club, you invest. Notice they didn't say you spend time, you invest your time in young people of your community, including your schools, to get an opportunity to share ideas across generations. So if this isn't compelling enough, I don't know what it is, but please seek out something that would invigorate your club to say, hey, let's take a look at, let's commit to sponsoring an Interact Club in this coming Rotary year. So as I end, again, just continue with our district expectations and even my personal expectation. Let's all commit to engage, encourage, and energize the youths in our district as we ignite the magic of Rotary. And the little graphic that you see on the side where it's a small step and a bigger footprint, it's about Interact. We're leading them on. We want them to follow in our footsteps, right?
We're
But
not seeing
we got
that
to lead.
graphic, Abraham.
My
We're
bad.
not seeing that
Sorry,
graphic.
thanks for that. Yep. Yeah, so it was a graphic that I sought out and I found it fine. And I said, you know what, I must put this in the presentation. But it is a smaller foot over a larger footprint. The larger footprint represents Rotary and the smaller one Interact. And it's about us leaving those footprints for our interactors to step into. So on that note, thank you very much for your attention. And I really hope that this, would invigorate you to move forward as we strengthen youth service in the district.
Thank you so much, Abraham. And there you have it, Interact at its Interact presentation that leaves us with food for thought. Kevan's on Rotaract also was something that we need as Rotary clubs to really embrace and seek out these opportunities to make these clubs happen. So I hope in the new Rotary year that we see more Interact and more Rotaract clubs being formed responsibly. Responsibly is the key word, because we can form all kinds of clubs, but we don't supervise them. We just leave them to go rogue and we have a problem. So on with those few words, I move to a lady who needs no introduction, PDG Dominique. She was our district governor in 1819. Yes. So PDG Dominique is the incoming Early Act Chair in Martinique and Guadeloupe. We call them Rota Kids. So let's hear from PDG Dominique on the very early, the foundation of these clubs. Thank you.
Thank you, PDG Sonia. Good evening, everybody. So it's just what I'm going to say in English, but the presentation is I'm going to do it in French, if you are agree. Thank you. Ok. Bonsoir, bonsoir tout le monde. Et,
Good
merci
evening,
d'être là.
everyone,
Je suis très heureuse que nous puissions
and thank you for being here. I'm very
célébrer,
happy
la
to be
journée
here with you this
Rotary.
evening to celebrate
Et je remercie
Rotaract Day. And I
Didier
also want to thank
Pardon, pardon,
Nikki.
Dominique. We're not seeing your screen.
Pardon?
Ne pas. We're not seeing your screen. We're not seeing your presentation. We're just seeing your early act folder.
Let me see. No, but it's normal because let me see.
Maybe you should stop sharing and start again.
It's
Maybe.
because I say something before, so it's normal. Ok.
Okay.
Donc, je disais avant tout, voilà, que je souhaitais remercier
I was saying that I wanted to thank
DG-elect Debbie de m'avoir
DG-elect for having given me this opportunity to work with all of these districts in creating more clubs, early act clubs. We are in the early stages of the creation of these early act clubs in this district. So I want to thank you, DPB, for giving me this opportunity.
On va déjà un petit peu expliquer qu'est-ce que le
We're
early
going
act,
to explain
à partir de quel âge on
early
peut,
act.
dans
From
quelle
what
tranche d'âge
age,
se situent les enfants qui
in
font
what age
partie de
group
ces clubs et en général quels sont
children
les
will
cycles.
participate in this system,
Alors,
and as well as its
Early
mission.
Act, ce sont donc des clubs
Early
qu'on crée,
acts
au travers
are
des
clubs
écoles avec
which
des enfants qui sont au
are
collège,
conducted in schools,
dont l'âge se
which
situe
with
entre
primary school
5
children
et 13 ans.
aged
Donc, ce sont vraiment
5
des
to
tout petits.
13 years old.
Il est
These
très
are really young
important qu'on puisse
children.
travailler avec eux parce que, comme
It
on
is
l'a
very
dit aussi beaucoup
important
ce matin
to
au
work
niveau
with
de
them
Interact, ce
because,
sont
as we
les
saw
enfants du
in the case
futur.
of Rotaract and
C'est pour ça
Interact,
qu'il est important
these are
aujourd'hui
the future
de
of our
créer des
society.
clubs Early Act
So
à
it's very
l'intérieur de nos
important to
districts.
create early act clubs
Un des
in all of
avantages,
our
très
districts.
tôt, on donne la possibilité donc
One
aux élèves
is the
d'avoir
advantages is
conscience
that from an
et
early
d'avoir la
age,
connaissance de leur
children
communauté.
can be aware
Ils vont y
of their
développer
community.
l'empathie, ils vont y développer la bienveillance,
They will
la
develop
serviabilité.
empathy, they will develop
Ils apprennent
caring
également
and
tout
helpfulness.
ce qui est de l'ordre de la
They also
responsabilité. Donc, ça
learn
leur permet de se forger un
through their
caractère et
responsibility,
de devenir bien
and
plus
this
tard
helps them to
des
forge their
leaders capables de
character
mener à bien
and
eux-mêmes
to
leurs projets.
become
Donc,
leaders
c'est
who are
vraiment,
capable of bringing their
en
projects
fait,
to
plus tôt
fruition.
on commencera avec les enfants à les initier
The
à
earlier
ce
beginning
type de
to work with
programme,
these children,
on aura
to
ensuite,
introduce them to
lorsqu'ils
this
vont
type of
passer le
program,
stade des 12
we
ans,
will
les
have
enfants seront beaucoup plus à l'aise en interact et encore plus à
the
l'aise
children will be
lorsqu'ils
much more at ease and they will be more likely to become Rotaractians.
C'est vrai que j'ai pas. Alors, on pourra se rendre compte que les missions sont très étroitement liées,
The
pardon, à
missions
celles
are very
de
closely
et
linked
qu'elles constituent finalement un
with
fondement
those
à la
of
succession
Rotary,
naturelle de l'interact. C'est ce que j'étais en train de vous dire.
and it is
C'est pour ça que
aimed
plus tôt on
at the
commence
natural
l'information.
succession, moving from one level to another.
Là, vous voyez des enfants qui sont en train de prendre la parole, qui sont en train de signer leurs règlements,
We
leurs
see that there are
statuts.
children who are
Au même titre
talking,
que nous le faisons quand nous
who
sommes
are,
adultes, bah, ils commencent à le faire très tôt.
and they're learning to communicate, to speak in public, even as such. These are skills that will be necessary for them in adulthood.
Alors, où créer ces clubs. Donc, comme je vous le disais,
Where can we
pour
create
les
these
choses de l'Early
clubs?
Act, il faut vraiment s'approcher des écoles.
Eh,
Parce
In
que
the case of Early Act, we need to approach schools because most of these programs
sur les territoires
are in
proposer le programme
English-speaking countries.
Excuse me,
In the
excuse
French-speaking
me,
countries,
PDG Dominic, just letting you know your screen is not, the presentation is not shared, right?
You don't see?
No, we're just seeing. We're just seeing a folder with Early Act. And just the folder with Early Act with the different files in it.
So, okay.
What you could do is stop sharing. Open it up and then share and then highlight, share that particular presentation.
Do you have the translation? No? You have it?
Okay, stop sharing. Okay, stop sharing your screen and go ahead and stop sharing.
Ok. Donc, j'expliquais que la création
Sorry, I was
des
explaining
early access
that
se faisait au sein des
the
écoles.
way in which we work within the
Par exemple,
schools,
sur les territoires français, pour l'instant,
for
un
example,
programme
in the
Early
French
Act
territory,
n'était
for the
pas,
moment,
accepté. Donc,
the
le
Early
parallèle,
Act
c'est de
programs
créer
were
ce
not
qu'on appelle
accepted.
des Rotakids.
So we
Le
decided to
Rotakid
create
est du même principe. Simplement,
Rotaki.
les enfants sont sélectionnés
The
jusqu'à
children
l'âge
are
de 10 ans.
simply
Mais au niveau
chosen
des actions
until the age of
et
12 years
mesures de
old.
l'enseignement, c'est exactement la
And
même
in
chose.
terms of the action and the
Simplement, ils ne seront
teaching,
pas
it's the
conduits
same
par
thing.
les éducateurs, mais ils seront dirigés
They're not led by
par
teachers,
les clubs parrains.
but they will be led by
Est-ce que
Rotary
c'est bon,
members.
Maria?
Maria, are you seeing? Is it okay now, Maria?
No, we're not seeing your PowerPoint presentation.
Stop sharing and I will share your PowerPoint. Just stop sharing.
Okay.
Right?
You want I try again?
No,
You haven't stopped your screen share yet. You need to go to the top of the screen and stop sharing. Press the red button to stop your screen
But
share.
I don't touch nothing, you know?
Well, just click on the stop share button that you can see.
Okay.
Hold on. Right. Okay. Maria's going to share the presentation now.
Everybody's seeing it.
Which she's
Everybody's
doing.
seeing it.
Yes,
Yes.
Maria.
Just let me know, PDG Dominic, where do you need me to go?
Okay, no problem. Okay, we do like this. So I already talked about that, so you can continue. Okay. So I explain what is the Early Act. It's okay. I talk about that too. Okay. Okay, just come back.
Go back one, Maria.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I talk about that. Okay. So I explain the, pardon, je reprends en français, c'est plus simple.
Let's start back in French. I was explaining that the difference that we can have between clubs in the different English-speaking territories and the French-speaking countries mean that for the moment, the Early Act program is not accepted in the French territory. In the French territories, we can create a special club. These clubs are led not by the clubs, but by the sponsor, by the schools, but by the sponsor club. And then we do the same activities that are done in the English-speaking countries.
Maria?
Maria? Move forward. Next slide, please. Yeah.
Alors, dans le programme,
In the program,
les Early Act, no, come back, please.
Early Out program, go back one slide. Yeah.
Dans le programme, les
In the program,
Early Act doivent réaliser 3 projets par an.
in the Early Act
Il y a
program,
un projet pour
we
les
do
clubs,
3 projects
un
per
projet
year.
pour la
There's
communauté,
one
et
project
un
for the
projet qui
school,
va
one for the
favoriser la
community,
compréhension
and
internationale.
one which will promote
Donc,
international
3
understanding.
projets. Alors, bien entendu, you can
So
continue.
there are 3
Ces
projects.
projets,
Of course, continue, please move forward.
please, Maria.
These projects,
Ces projets nécessitent bien entendu
these
d'être
projects
discutés.
require
Ils seront discutés avec
to
les représentants de
discussion
l'établissement, mais
with the
également avec
representatives
les
of the
parents
school,
les représentants des parents
as
d'élèves,
well
et
as
bien
the,
entendu la
the,
présence
the
des
sponsors.
clubs parrains.
And there's also the participation of
Aucun
the
projet n'est
sponsoring club.
validé tant qu'il n'a pas été expliqué
No project is
auprès des différents,
validated unless it
différentes
has been
parties.
explained
Maria.
by to the different stakeholders.
Please.
Move forward, please. Next slide.
La création aussi d'un Early Act nécessite une organisation, bien entendu, au niveau du
This
club parrain.
also
Et,
requires
c'est là où on apprendra les différents points.
organization,
Il y a une organisation,
and
il y
it
a
requires
une administration et
organization.
une planification.
There's administration,
Next, please.
and there's also planning stage. Next slide, please.
Donc, il est important, par exemple, pour les clubs parrains,
It is
de prévoir
important
une sous-commission qui va
to
essentiellement
create a
s'occuper
subcommittee
d'accompagner
to
ces
deal with,
clubs, ces Early Act Club, pardon, et
will provide
suivre
support
ces
for the
enfants,
club
que ce soit dans la rédaction des statuts,
and follow the
que ce soit
children,
dans la rédaction du règlement,
whether it's in
dans
the
la
creation of the
planification
statutes
des
or the
tribunaux. Tout
planning or the
ceci,
bylaws
doit se faire
or the meetings.
avec l'aide
All
des
of this
clubs
must be
parrains.
done
Donc, c'est une véritable
with the
organisation
assistance
parce
of
que
the
aussi
sponsor
bien
club.
les enfants
So it
ont
requires
droit d'avoir
lots
des
of
obligations en carrière,
organization,
donc qui nécessitent de s'organiser
and
pour
there are
préparer
number
toutes
of
ces réunions et de les
obligations
faire exactement comme
to
nous aujourd'hui,
organize
au sein de Rotary
meetings.
Club, nous le faisons. Il va
And
falloir
we also
que
do, as we're doing
parrain
right here
aussi
now,
sache qu'il doit se
and
rendre
therefore
disponible
the
pour pouvoir
sponsor
assister
club
à ces différentes
must
réunions
know
et
that
s'assurer que
it must be
l'élaboration
available
de
to assist
ces
attend
clubs
with
se
these
fait dans les
meetings
règles de l'art. Next, please.
and to provide the support needed for these clubs. Next slide, please.
Next, please.
Next slide.
En clair, le club parrain joue
Obviously,
véritablement un rôle de
the
conseiller,
sponsor club
de facilitateur
has a very important role.
et de mentor.
Has a role of
Donc, c'est vraiment au
advisor,
regard,
facilitator,
de
role
la façon
model,
dont
and
le club parrain
mentors.
va interagir
And this has to
avec
do,
ce
it will
Early Act Club,
interact
que l'on verra quelle est la progression
with the Early
on pourra
Acts Club,
se rendre compte effectivement si les enfants intègrent bien les codes
and to
de
make sure
carrière qui
that
sont
the
les nôtres.
children
Alors, pour avoir une
are
petite
actively
idée,
involved. To give you a small idea, next slide, please.
Pour avoir
I think so, yeah.
une petite idée globale, et c'est
To
là où le
give
travail que
a
l'on
general
a fait,
idea of
et
the
qu'attend
work that
toute
we have
Rotary
done,
DB, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, on peut compter
the work has been done by
sur
JB.
environ 7 clubs.
You can
Donc, comme
there
je
are
l'ai dit
seven clubs in
on
our
a très
district.
peu de clubs. Et l'idée, c'est de faire en sorte
There are very
qu'au
few
moins, il y en ait
clubs,
au moins un sur
and
chaque
we need to make
territoire.
sure that
C'est,
the number
j'ai envie
of
de dire, le
clubs in each
travail que
territory
nous
is
sommes attelés de
increased.
faire, mais je ne pourrais pas le faire sans vous. Donc,
I
c'est
am
nécessaire
really
effectivement de
grateful
bien
to you, Natalie, for the
relayer
support that you
sur
provided. I
dans
could
vos
not have done it
territoires.
without you.
Et moi, de façon globale,
You in your
possible de faire,
respective
ce qui est
territories
possible
and
d'apporter.
I in general
Et
must
moi,
work
comme je dis
together,
souvent, ça
do
sert à
what is
rien de
necessary.
réinventer la roue. Il y a des clubs, il y a des early
There's
act
no
clubs qui
use
existent.
to have
Il est
clubs
intéressant d'aller voir ce
if
qu'ils
we're
ont pu
not
faire déjà
supporting
avec
each other.
les enfants. Et si
So
jamais
we must
certains
continue our work with
souhaitent
these
mettre en
children.
place des early act clubs,
We
je
must
suis à leur disposition.
put in place these early acts clubs. And if you want to introduce one of these clubs in your territory, I'm at your disposal to assist you in putting them in place. And I will also be willing to help you to choose the actions and the activities that you can do in the schools or elsewhere, also at the level of the sponsor groups. That is all I had to say to you this evening in terms of the Early Act clubs. Thank you very much for your attention.
And so there you have it, folks. Early Act at the very base of our little pyramid. Early Act, the foundation, those 5-year-olds to 13-year-olds, primary school children, where they are good minds to mold into people of service, people of action. So thank you, PDG Dominique, for that presentation on Early Act. And I can't say it enough, these opportunities to have Early Act, Interact, and Rotaract within your clubs enrich the Rotarians' lives. It gives them a new perspective and a new energy in the club. Going out to the Early Act and Interact as Rotarians, you get to see and be in the pulse of these young people as we mold and shape their minds into people of service. So I encourage you to reach out to these 3 presenters tonight to hear a little more and see how they can help you make your club a sponsor club for one of these projects. Well, programs, they're not programs anymore, are they? They're just part of Rotary. Okay, Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act. Thank you so much. And I see Julian from Tobago telling us to embrace youth service. We definitely can't do it without them. So the time is running away with us. Another part of our youth service program tonight is RYLA. And RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. This year, in the 2024-25 year, will be headed by PP Dina Rajpal Bainey from Trinidad. And I'm going to just read her bio. Dina is a retired principal of St. Joseph's Convent in San Fernando, Trinidad, where she taught for 25 of her 36 years in the teaching profession. She spent her adult life using her personal and career experiences to assist her students and provide the support they needed when their lives seemed to be more than they could handle. As an educator, her purpose went beyond the classroom while seeking how best to help her students learn in the environments in which she taught. She can safely say she did so competently, thoughtfully, and with the appropriate caution, in consideration of her own values and those of her students and other stakeholders. Developing strong relationships is the foundation of everything she does, both professionally and personally. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you PP Dina, who is a graduate of UWI St. Augustine, where she holds a bachelor's in physics and chemistry and an MBA in educational leadership and management from the University of Leicester. PP Dina, RYLA is all yours.
Thank you so much, Lynn and Facilitator Sonia. So thank you first for giving me the opportunity to present tonight on RYLA. I was asked to do a presentation on the impressions and the benefits of RYLA. But before I do that, I want to say a little bit about RYLA 2024-2025, after which I will go into the presentation and we will talk a little bit about the branding, the aims of RYLA as outlined by Rotary International, and then we'll go into the benefits of RYLA and look at some takeaways from RYLA 2023-2024. So let me just bring up my screen. So what is RILA? For those of us who have not been actively engaged in RILA,
Excuse me,
RILA is a Rotary.
pause.
Pardon?
Gina, you're not sharing your screen.
What I did.
Very good now, and you could just put it in presentation mode. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Right.
So what is RILA? For those of us who are not actively engaged in RILA, RILA is a Rotary International program for young people, fully supported by District 7030. It offers young people a special opportunity to take part in developing qualities of leadership, teamwork, initiative, and critical thinking skills. The exposure to the seminar workshop program and the team building
Sorry,
sessions.
Dina, I think you
Something
magnified
happened.
it. Yeah, you
did.
use your cursor to magnify it. Yeah, just go down a little bit more. Right, you're good now. Thank you.
The exposure to the seminar workshop program and the team building sessions that are being planned will develop a more complete personality for the participants. It is hoped that the newfound confidence and skills gained by each participant will be brought back to their school, their respective communities, and demonstrated to their sponsoring clubs by way of a short presentation on their experiences. Youth leadership is part of the youth development process and supports the young person in developing the ability to analyze his or her own strengths and weaknesses, set personal and vocational goals, and have the self-esteem, confidence, motivation, and abilities to carry them out. District 7030 RILA this year hopes to, 1, provide an atmosphere where future leaders will experience learning situations that will aid them in developing sound values. 2, promote an environment that will provide everyone with a basis of insight and understanding for intelligent leadership. 3, promote involvement that encourages participants to think through appropriate actions based on values and ethics. And
Vice President
4,
Dina, just remember to advance your screen.
No, I'm not ready to do that yet. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And 4, encourage students through cooperative activities and group dynamics to develop leadership skills that can be taken back to their high schools and modeled by other students. Remember, RILA provides a unique platform for young leaders to grow, learn, and make positive impact. So let's look at the branding that we will be using would be this, that came out of the My Rotary Brand Center. And this is also another one that will also be used this year. So what is RILA? It is Rotary's leadership training program for young people. It emphasizes leadership, citizenship, and personal growth. RILA aims to demonstrate Rotary's respect and concern for youths, provide an effective training experience for selected youth and potential leaders, encourage leadership of youth by youth, recognize publicly young people who are rendering service to their communities, and give young adults an opportunity to listen and exchange ideas with other outstanding community and student leaders. The benefits of RILA to young people, well, through this comprehensive leadership training program, participants will be able to gain a deeper understanding and connection to inner self, enhance teamwork, communication, and interpersonal skills, meet and share ideas with community leaders from different backgrounds and cultures, prepare themselves to be the future leaders who render service to their communities, make a lifetime change for a better life. They will also discover strategies for becoming a dynamic leader in their school or community, learn from community leaders, inspirational speakers, and peer mentors, unlock their potential to turn motivation into action, and have fun and form lasting friendships, most important. Some of the experiences that were shared from January 2023, Ryla, a Rotarian observation, sharing the experience at Ryla, it was amazing. Okay, this was after 1 day of attendance. The presentations were inspiring and enlightening. I appreciated the information shared. The opportunity for the children to do that level of collaboration with strangers in a safe space, and the introduction of public speaking from such a young age. I am grateful you pushed for the students to attend, as this would have been a significant missed opportunity. From two other interactors, it was a great experience. I love the fact that all the lectures appealed to our age category, and I really enjoyed making friends with people from different schools. It was a great bonding experience for us as an executive team. It also gave us relevant and interesting information to share with the rest of the club members, in addition to instilling teamwork and communication skills. And this is just a photo of the group session in January of 2023. So now I'm going to share with you 2 videos of interactors giving their impressions of that past Ryla. One is from a school in Trinidad, and one is from a school in Suriname, club in Suriname.
You know, the first time I heard this song was when we went to Ryla. What? Girl, are you living under a rock? Yeah, jokes. But for real though, Miss John had talked about conflict management and how we could approach different situations. I read like that, and I like how she incorporated calm down and a little dance into it.
Yes.
That was good.
I really enjoyed that too, but my favorite part was the breakout rooms. I love that they split us up and we got to interact with people from like different parts of the country, and you know, really hear their ideas and how they think. And that makes some sense too.
Same. I love how they let us network with so many different interest clubs and Rotary clubs all over the country, and it makes so many difference.
What I found interesting was your presentation on the environment and mangroves. You know, we do an environmental science, and it's really informative to learn about that.
Yeah.
Personally, I really love the presentation that the Diabetes Association man did. I feel like as a bio student, that really resonated with me about learning about the science behind child obesity. That was really nice.
And that's important too, you know, because in Trinidad that's a big problem.
It really is. Right, that was really nice, guys.
It was. Can I go back next year?
Same. Anyways, guys, would you look at the time?
Okay, and I will now share the other video from Suriname.
Hey, I'm CJ from Rotary Cup of Fresh.
I'm Aros Mujani from Interact Break by Break.
And today we're going to talk about our experiences at Ryla 2023.
I'm glad that we joined this year's Ryla
because it was a very educational experience and we've learned a lot.
We have a good bonding and we are looking up to the next year's Ryla.
Let's go! Hey, I'm CJ from...
So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and I thank you for your attention. And I now pass you back to Learning Facilitator Sonia.
Thank you so much, Dina. So, guys, these were the snippets of our youth services that will be gone into in depth in St. Vincent. So at this time, I want to thank all the presenters this evening who really did a wonderful job on that snapshot for the different youth organizations within our great organization of Rotary. And we had one question, but I'm urging anyone who has questions on Rotaract, Interact, Early Act, or RILA to at this time raise your hand so that we can have the questions answered. This question that was in the chat, PP Abraham, are there any non-school-based Interact clubs?
Yeah, I saw that. Not that I know, I'm aware of. I'm just, privy to what exists on our database, but I haven't seen, and they're all school-based. So I'm not aware that any non-school-based Interact clubs exist. I don't know you as maybe past district governor, if you might be aware also. I'm not aware.
So I've heard of non-school based, but it's a community based, but it really takes that one person who is going to lead the charge. And that's where we fall down a lot in these types of clubs, where no one really wants to take that responsibility. Hence why it's in a school setting, so that the schools can actually control how they meet, who is the advisor. Here we go. From Claudia at Paramaribo Central, their Interact Triple T is community-based and non-school-based, and so is Southwest Tobago, says Julian. Community-based Interact Club. So they are there. So Ariane is asking, is it that in our district, some Rotaract clubs have some Rotary clubs have two Interact clubs? I'm going to leave that to you.
Yes. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, there are quite a few clubs, Rotary clubs in the district that has multiple clubs. In fact, our Rotary Club of Chaguanas, we have 3 Interact clubs that we have sponsored, and they're just going wild. Yeah, so yes, definitely. There are multiple clubs attached to or sponsored by single Rotary clubs. Rotary Club Felicity, I see Diana has 2. So very good.
And Dina's club, San Fernando, has 5.
Yes, right, yeah. Dina has 8, I think. Yeah.
8.
So
wow, yeah, but then it shows up. It shows up the
exactly
clubs that don't have any at all. So this is your mission, Rotarians, presidents-elect and secretaries-elect, and youth service officers on this call, to make it one of your goals to have formed Rotaract, Interact, and Early Act clubs within your club during the next Rotary year. What is the date of RILA 2024? I don't believe there's a RILA during this Rotary year, but the next Rotary year, 24-25, I'll leave that to Dina to answer.
Well, we're hoping to have, because it's a district RILA, we expect participants from the different territories, countries. And so RILA is carded from the 8th to the 11th of November, 2024.
Lovely. Okay. Are there any other questions for any of the presenters tonight? I'm giving you a few more minutes just to get your thoughts together and share anything that you may want to share on our youth clubs. They really are a true testament to service, and they really embody all that we look for in Rotarians and Rotarians in our district. So I just want to say thank you at this point to everyone who came out this evening, past district governors, members of the governor's string. We appreciate your taking the time to join us in session 6 of this learning session. And tonight was on youth. And Claudia is telling us that Suriname will have a local RILA this year, as they normally do. So tonight was on youth. Monday, folks, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, service projects will be the topic on Monday night. It's really important that we all join these sessions and be trained together and learn together. If we don't do it here, we need to do it on the Rotary Learning Centre. And I encourage you, please, to sign up and go on to the Learning Centre and get as much information as you can on the topics that we've gone through. These are but the short points that we'll be dealing with in St. Vincent in April for the district conference, ahead of the district conference on April 17th and 18th. We will have our PETS session, live and in person, hands-on presentations. So with that, I thank you all for joining us this evening and look forward to seeing you all on Monday night when we speak about service projects, and PDG Stephen Ramroop will be our presenter at that time. Thank you very much. Happy World Rotaract Day again to all our Rotaractors and Rotarians who came out of Rotaract. We appreciate all of you. Thanks so much. Have a good evening.